Next step, we're going to fade the two images together. And what we're going to do, I'm undoing because I was like playing around with this, is actually use a layer mask. So the layer mask selection, if you look inside your layers, there's a little square with a circle on top of it. That's a layer mask. I wonder if we can add it here too in our layers. I don't see adding a layer mask. Okay, so we've got to do it here. Inside our layer section, we're going to add layer mask. And you'll see it puts a white layer over it, and then there's like a little lock. We're doing a layer mask. We could just erase the layer, but the cool thing about a layer mask is that you can erase, and then if you mess up, you can add to it by just coloring it over white. So if I go in with my eraser, I have a full opacity. You see that I'm cutting out that texture. What if I find I'm like, oh, I don't like that, it doesn't look good, I can go back with a brush tool and just brush it back on. So that's how we're going to use a layer mask. So I've placed the mask over my texture, and now we want to blend our two images together. The idea is that it's really, really subtle. For your final grade, I want to see some areas that are, I want it to be like a gradient of 100% to another 100%. Like I want it to fade perfectly. So some portion of your picture should be all of your portrait, and some section of your picture should be all of your textural image. The best way to blend that is to put our eraser tool on. So we're using eraser. I want to use a very low opacity because I want it to blend. Also, don't forget that my layer is already at a 53 opacity, so it's not full. And I want to highlight the face. So you're going to work very carefully and bring out a section of your portrait. Again, we want it to fade because once I put that opacity back up, it's going to look pretty messy. See, it looks garbage. So you're going to work carefully, Command C, to very carefully blend these images together. We want the blending to be kind of seamless. You want to be able to see sections where it's, partially your face or partially your clothes. You can play around with the size of your brush, keeping your opacity low. There shouldn't be any abrupt changes. So you're going to work with your brush tool, and then if you find that, you've made a mistake, we're working with our eraser tool. If you find that you've made a mistake that you're unhappy with, then you can also go back with your regular brush tool. Make sure it's white because you're going to be coloring in, and then you can just color it in, and the mask will bring it back. So using your eraser and your brush tool, we're going to very carefully transition these. Keep in mind, every once in a while you might want to put your opacity all the way up so you can see what your final image looks like.